Welcome to Bliss to Abundance, the podcast for growth-minded travel entrepreneurs. Hey guys, welcome to the show. I have an amazing guest this morning. And if you haven't heard already, we are upgrading the podcast this year, and we're really going to be having a big focus on travel agent education and things that will help you continue to grow. And we're going to be talking about hot topics, and I'm going to be bringing some of my favorite experts all over the industry to talk to you guys. And today we're talking about Genie Plus and the chaos or the fun or the what, however, a lot of people are processing it in a different way. But I have brought my good friend, agency owner, and travel industry phenom, Brandon Foster from Magic Land Vacations. How are you, Brandon?
I'm great, Cindy. Excited to be here and appreciate the invite.
Well, I have to say, when Genie Plus came out, first of all, because I texted you, I was like, their logo is so close to your. Brandon had the logo first for the record, and he has it copywritten, right?
Yes, I do.
And I was like, oh, this is going to be so good for him because it's so similar. But I loved that. And the other thing that was happening was we started getting immediately a ton of client questions about it. And everybody was in a shuffle to figure out what is it? What do I need to tell my clients? The first time I had to help one of my agents through it in our agency, it took me 45 minutes to go, what do I tell them? What do we do? All the things. And I was like, oh man, it's not as user-friendly as I had hoped. I think maybe it's just because I haven't used it personally myself as much, but I cannot wait to get your feedback today. So let's start by just assuming that agents are new and maybe they have or maybe they haven't used Genie Plus, but what are, in your opinion, the top things they need to know about Genie Plus so they can educate their clients as they book travel with them?
Yeah, so if I was going to narrow down the top three things, the first thing I would say is that Genie Plus, because remember, we're talking about Genie Plus, not regular Genie. Genie Plus helps your clients to reduce their wait times in the park. That'd be the first thing. The second thing I would say is that you have a pay per day Genie Plus, which includes an a la carte list of attractions. And then you have select attractions in each park that are for Lightning Lane only, and it's a purchase to ride. So two differences there. And then the last thing I would say about Genie Plus is that there are some differences between Disneyland and Walt Disney World and what they offer for those specific resorts, including some price differences as well. And that if you're staying at Walt Disney World on Disney property, you have a little bit of an advantage because you can make your selections at 7 a.m. pay per Lightning Lane versus park opening time. So those would be my three things I would say.
Yeah, which is a huge perk. So if, let's say we have that family, which was my case when I was walking, this poor family booked their trip, and it was right before the switch over to Genie Plus, and we had already walked that, we'd already done their orientation. We have a pretty good, workflow with leading up to Disney, but 3 days before they were going, we had to go oh wait, there's this new thing. If your family's going to, let's say, Magic Kingdom, walk me through how you would instruct or what you would say to that family to make the most out of that day if they're going to use the unpaid versus the paid version.
Well, so I'd actually ask one more question, right?
Yep.
So the question I would ask is if you're doing the paid version, are you willing to pay for the specific Lightning Lane only ones where you're just paying for that specific ride, or are we just going to do regular Genie Plus without the paid Lightning Lanes? Because that will actually change how you kind of approach your day at the park.
Yeah.
One thing that I think a lot of travel professionals overlook is the first question you need to ask your clients is, what rides are actually most important to your family?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest disconnects that I see in the travel industry in general, or when people are planning their own vacations, trying to look at blog posts and stuff like that, is maybe your kids are not old enough to ride Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and Space Mountain. So you don't even need to pay for those pay per Lightning Lanes.
Yep.
So I think the first question is, what does your family actually want to do at the park? And then once you know what they want to do, you go from there. Now, I will say that there's a great advantage to doing rope drop. A lot of families don't utilize rope drop, so any seasoned travel professional
Yeah.
is going to always advise their clients that the least amount of waiting time they're going to have in a park is when the park's very first open at rope drop, or at the very end of the day after all the other families have left. So if you're not doing the pay per lightning lane only attractions, so for example at the Magic Kingdom, which would be Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and Space Mountain, if you're not going to pay for those specifically on their own, then those become the rides or attractions you want to do during rope drop or at the end of the night, and then use Genie Plus for the rest of your day.
In between. Yeah, I love that. And I think too, I love what you said about not assuming just because it's your favorite ride, if their kids are like 3 and 4, they're not going to necessarily want to ride those bigger attractions. Now, it would come in handy to have the regular lightning lane, I assume, to do, some of the kiddie rides that do have those queues. Just like Winnie the Pooh have lightning lane, Peter Pan.
Yes, they do. And the other thing people have to realize too is, and this is another thing that a seasoned travel professional versus a newbie needs to know, is what is the ride occupancy for specific rides. So people mover rides or rides that have a continuous circuit, like for example Little Mermaid, Haunted Mansion, those have a higher ride count per hour than a lot of the other rides. So if you're trying to choose between which ones you should use your next Genie Plus selection and which ones not, that's something you want to look at. You also want to look at the history in terms of which ones are going first before all the other ones. So for example, at Hollywood Studios, Slinky Dog is a huge one.
My favorite. Slinky Dog's my new favorite. Don't get me started.
So that one typically goes really fast. Sometimes it goes, now we don't have boarding groups for Rise of Resistance anymore, which is great. So clients can actually go and take standby lines. But in some cases, it goes as fast as the old boarding groups for Rise of the Resistance. So it really is about knowing your clients first and asking them what is most important to them and approaching it from that standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And it's like all the things you're saying are exactly why people need to use a travel agent, right? So I like, and if you are a travel agent or listening to this podcast or watching the replay on YouTube, this is the kind of stuff, the tips Brandon's giving you guys. Sharing this information makes you the hero of the day, right? As you start to plan, help them walk through their trip. So I love that. I'm just like, I can't help but coach the travel industry, right? But I love featuring things like that because you always pick up tidbits when you work with different owners, and I love the way you positioned it as like, understand your family, what's their plan or their schedule going to be for the day, and how would they kind of maneuver. Talk to us about, so besides the rides, like once we've identified maybe they're going to do regular lightning lane, or maybe they're going to add one on for, because I know you can add they're calling them fancy rides, I guess is the terminology, right, for those per. So once you've built their kind of agenda for the day on Genie Plus, tell us a little bit about, once they're in the park with Genie Plus, what are some other cool, I noticed some cool features. I know that you'll probably have your faves, but what are your favorite things that Genie Plus does with you from an like interactive or an intuitive perspective that you're enjoying?
From an interactive and intuitive perspective, that's a great question. So I would say that one of the things that I love about just the app in general, and I just have to be honest and say, I think some of the intuitive things are not the best for clients. So I have to be honest about that. So I know that the free version of Genie is meant to actually help people make recommendations on what they should do next. I think you also have to realize that Disney wants to disperse crowds to reduce the wait time across the whole entire park. So sometimes it actually makes the selection for you to disperse the crowds to the benefit of everybody, but it's just not what you want to do, boo.
Yeah, and there is like you can go in and set like you can kind of set some criteria of things that you like and things that you're looking for right ahead of time. We've been doing that with our clients. So
yeah, yeah, so you can definitely do that, but it doesn't always exactly select something that's important to you. And I'll just give you guys a silly example. And
yeah.
obviously, I love the fact that Disney is making an effort to do this. I
Mhm.
applaud them so much for doing this because you're never going to be able to do this unless you try to do it.
Yeah.
They're still working out the kinks. But I
Yeah.
remember the first two times I went, it kept telling me to go to Prince Charming Carousel, and I was like, I have no desire. I have no desire to go to Prince Charming Carousel. Like, I love that if you
Right.
guys know, it is the oldest attraction in all of Walt Disney World. The
Yeah.
carousel was built in 1907 and was acquired and refurbished specifically for the Magic Kingdom park. But what I will say that I do love that it does intuitively is it does let you know where the wait times are currently to
Mhm.
try to best select your next selection for Genie Plus.
Yeah.
And that is really, really helpful because it is a little bit like Jenga because
Yeah.
when you're selecting your next Genie Plus selection, you have to realize that ideally you would want to select a ride that you're going to go ride next, because as soon as you do the second touch point, you can select your next ride. So the optimal way to do Genie Plus is ride and then reselect, ride and then reselect, ride and reselect.
Yeah.
Where that
To get your most for your money, right? Yeah.
Where that doesn't work is when you have something like Slinky Dog and you're doing it in the morning and your selection is at 3 o'clock. So you're not going to be able to get another ride for at least an hour. So that's when, again, as a travel professional, you have to have some experience to know when are the best times to choose your selections and in what order.
Exactly, and combining rope drop with that to get the most, because you have those families that I feel like they have the idea, I'm going to do everything in this one trip, and we're like, no, you're not. there's no doing everything anymore. Like, the parks are too big, and set a good expectation. But it's interesting what you said about the carousel. It's almost like Disney's driving traffic. Like you said, they're kind of trying to direct flow, and maybe some more of those novice or first time travelers to Disney will be like, oh, it says go to the carousel. Let's go to the carousel. So from a flow perspective, it could help. But to your point, that's exactly why you need a travel advisor to go, it's going to do this sometimes, but here's what I want you to do, because I know this is important to your family, because that's that human element that makes the experience that much better.
Absolutely. I think that one of the biggest reasons why families really love working with us is we are very honest about the limitations of it, the pros of it, while also not throwing Disney underneath the bus, because we love Disney. I am the biggest Disney fan, and I'll give you a really good example, because one of the things that questions people raised about Genie Plus was, um, Disney needs to have really accurate wait times before a family makes the decision to pay specifically for a Lightning Lane only purchase, like Rise of the Resistance or Slinky Dog or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Now, where that creates a little bit of a challenge for Disney is one of the ways that they exceed customer service and exceed guest expectation is they tend to post higher wait times than normals for standby people, because then when they go through the line, they're like, oh my gosh, the wait time said 45 minutes, but I only waited 30 minutes, right?
Under promise, over deliver. Yep.
Exactly. And that's something Disney's done for a really long time, which I love about Disney. When you have a paid version like this, right, then that starts to raise that question of well, how accurate are the wait times actually if I'm actually going to spend extra money to do that? And I think that Disney overall is doing the best job they can to handle both those concerns. Yep. And this is when I'm just really honest with my clients, and I say, look, Disney loves to exceed guest expectations. So don't be surprised that if you see a posted wait time and it's actually shorter than that. But the reality is also true that no matter what you're paying for, whether it's Genie Plus or whether it's Lightning Lane, you should have a reduced wait time, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that I saw people getting frustrated about during the holiday season, during peak season, is I'm not riding as many rides as I expect to ride with Genie Plus.
Yeah.
And the question I always raise is, but are you riding more rides than you would without it?
True. Yeah, true. Yeah. And I feel I'm really excited once I get going on because I hate to wait in line. Like I'm very big on I can make more money, but I can never make more time. So I'm like go 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 go. But at this point, you know, you and I have been to Disney so many times. It's almost like I don't even ride the rides that much anymore from a me perspective. But when it comes to the clients, it's more I remember that journey of trying to get so much done and the wait time when you're waiting and waiting and waiting, it just brings your energy, right? Especially for those clients who have the younger kids and like that 3 to 4 o'clock hour where they all have the meltdown. It's the ability to kind of get what they want out of their day and do it in a way that you can pay or you cannot, and they can make that decision. But that brings me to a good point with adding, you know, obviously the cost, we've all seen the cost of Disney rising in accommodation, food prices we've been seeing going up the last quarter, ticket prices. I got my annual pass when I was there a couple months ago, but we hadn't renewed the rest of the family yet. And I'm like, oh man. So it's one of those things where there's little costs creeping up. So how are you helping your families make the decision? And obviously talk a little bit because we have a lot of travel agents that follow, obviously. When is Genie Plus commissionable and when is it not?
So it's only commissionable if it's lumped into a package before final payment.
Yep.
So if you have a client who decides to add it the day of their vacation, then it's non-commissionable. We're very transparent with our families, and I just have to be honest, you know, there's a lot of hoopla about the $15 at Walt Disney World, $20 per day, which does increase the cost of your clients' vacations. But if you're saving your clients 3 or 4 hours,
Right.
I mean, it's a huge advantage. And if you look at Universal Orlando, sometimes their express passes, you know, if you're not staying at a premier property, and no, we're not talking about Universal Orlando, but premier property is the way to go for clients for Universal Orlando because express pass is included.
Yes. Yeah.
If you're not doing that, the express pass on a low tier day for one person is like $189, and it can go all the way up to like $269 on a peak day.
Yep.
So when you compare that to $15 or $20, now it doesn't look so bad.
Stay on property. Yeah, no, we sell pretty much only on property over there for the same reasons. And I remember when Express Pass came out over there, and my husband's like, "I'm never going back to Disney again." He's like, "This is the greatest thing ever." And they like, and my kids are getting older now, so they're Team Universal. I'm still Team Disney, obviously, but. Point being is it's nice to have that, you know, time is everything. Especially with families, they've taken the time out of their busy lives to fly across the country to check into a beautiful resort, you know, and you also want to enjoy the resort, like especially if they're staying at one of the nicer Disney properties. So to be able to zip into the parks, do all the things and still have an evening, or what we used to do when the kids were really little and we had a lot more energy, we would hit that rope drop, we would go for 4 or 5 hours, we would come home, let the kids take a nap or go to the pool and just have a rest for a few hours, and then boom, we would go back in the evenings, and it felt like a whole new day because we're refreshed and kind of getting the most. But that's why I love this, because it's almost like you can kind of zip and do the most important things, and then just have more quality, like level of quality in your vacation, I guess, is where I see this whole new feature kind of added in. I mean, I'm still sad that, you know, the old freebie fast passes, but it's been a hard transition for the public, I feel like. It's really been key for us travel agents to kind of step in and bridge that gap to help them understand it can be a good thing if you look at it this way, right?
Absolutely. And of course, you know, firsthand experience. If you're a travel professional, you really do need to get out there and use it yourself, because it'll really help you in terms of educating your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going for spring break, and we're doing all the things. So it's going to be, we'll be testing, we'll be making videos, all the fun stuff. But Brandon, I love to ask everyone on the podcast, especially when I have an amazing owner like you joining, what is we're talking Disney today, so what is your top 3 favorite things to do at Disney?
Okay, so number 1 is Fantasmic, which I'm so excited.
Oh, it's my husband's favorite.
Yes, that's my top thing is Phantasmic. I have to do Phantasmic every single time we go to Walt Disney World. Second favorite thing would definitely be a tie between Pirates and the Haunted Mansion. Those are two of my favorite rides of all time.
Classics. Yep.
Um, Best Pirates, by the way, is in Shanghai Disneyland. But I still
Nice.
love the versions at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And I cannot believe that Disneyland actually had real human bones for a while. That is crazy.
Did it
But
really? I didn't know that.
people don't know that. And then my third favorite thing, my favorite treat is the Jack Jack Cookie Num Num at Hollywood Studios, which is a deep dish chocolate chip cookie, and the chocolate chip morsels are always melty.
Oh my gosh, I haven't had that one. You know what I did have that I fell in love with last time? Speaking of Hollywood, is have you had the? I don't know if this is the right name, but it's like the Chewbacca cookie, where it's like an oatmeal and then has like a cream. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I know what you're talking about, but I haven't had it.
Oh, it's so good. I think it's right in that same like area. Anyway, that reminded me. I'm going to put that on my list for things to do when I go in the spring. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us in the podcast today. Go follow Brandon, Magic Lamp Vacations, all of the things, and keep on watching. We're going to be back with another great show next week. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Careers on Vacation, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.
Meg loves to travel. She's tired of her stressful job and wishes she could have her own travel business. Meg heard travel agents get amazing discounts and work from home or while they travel. This sounds perfect, but Meg has no idea where to start. Meg is worried she will fail because she's never worked in travel, and launching a business is overwhelming. That's when Meg found Careers on Vacation, which taught Meg everything she needed to launch her portable, profitable travel business. Meg got to work with industry expert Cindy Williams and the Careers on Vacation team to launch her travel business in just weeks. Now Meg is helping families book dream vacations, earning amazing commissions, and traveling the world. Meg is so grateful she found Careers on Vacation.